Amid tear gas shells, cement barricades, nails, and all manners of massive police deployment, the farmers are marching on towards the national capital. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Our focus today is on the massive farmers' protest. Thousands of farmers are in a repeat of memories from more than a year ago, marching towards the national capital. But unlike the last time when they were allowed to come up until the border of the capital and also allowed inside on 26 January, leading to that fateful moment of a religious flag being hoisted from the ramparts of the Red Fort, the police and the governments are taking no chance this time. Talks between the central government and the farmers have failed. The farmers say, अगर आप हमें सड़क से नहीं आने देंगे तो हम खेत के बीच में से आएंगे. Meanwhile, injured farmers have been speaking to our team on the ground. Amidst all of this, there is also massive politics around the farmers' movement. Rahul Gandhi is now believed to be joining the protests at a time when he has also spoken to one of the injured farmers who has served in the military. Now, the key demand of the farmers on which the government and the farmers could not reach an agreement was the legal right to MSP, a law that would guarantee this. To talk about where this farmers' protest is headed, whether such a demand is realistic, whether any government can in fact guarantee it, let's introduce our expert on the program today. Devinder Sharma ji is with us. He's one of the country's foremost experts in the space of agriculture. Thank you, sir, so much for joining us. Let me start by asking you what you see as different about this farmers' protest and the previous one, if any significant difference.
Well, I think the previous iconic farmers' protest was essentially seeking the withdrawal of the three contentious farm laws. And when the laws were withdrawn, the farmers were still insisting that there is something that we need to do to ensure that the farmer income goes up, which means there was a need for a legal mechanism being assigned to the minimum support price mechanism that we have in India. The concept or the idea behind it was that minimum support price is announced in India for about 23 crops, but effectively it is put in place only for wheat and paddy and to some extent to cotton and pulses and so on. And what the farmers are demanding is that there needs to be a legal mechanism where all the crops for which the prices are announced, which means 23 crops, it becomes a legal right for the farmer, and nothing in this country then would be purchased below that benchmark price. So the farmers have got back to Delhi and hoping to reach Delhi, and they are insisting that there has to be a final call on making MSP a legal mechanism.
Now, before I get to whether that can be done, whether such a law has efficacy, the government has made the argument, sir, that there is actually a significant increase. In fact, they quote 115% increase in MSP since 2014. They've also released individual procurement prices for wheat and paddy to make the point that actually there is a huge increase in the rates at which wheat, paddy and other crops, 23 of them covered by the MSP, are being procured. How do you respond to that argument from the government?
Well, I think all this is being projected at this particular juncture because they are seeing the anger that the farmers are expressing, A. And B, also we must understand that OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has in October come out with a report. And this report examines the farm situation in 54 of the major economies in the world. And they have shown that only three countries are in the negative zone, Vietnam, Argentina, and India. And incidentally, India is the only country among those 54 countries where farmers have been incurring losses continuously from the year 2000 onwards. Now, this is something which tells us that all that efforts that we have made or in the previous years or in the previous decade and so on haven't worked. And the report very clearly says that the two other countries which are in the negative zone, Argentina and Vietnam, have made up for the losses by budget support. In India, they have said very clearly that in India, the farmers are Bhagwan Bharose. And India hasn't done anything to cover up those losses by budgetary support. So that is why, farmers feel agitated and they are correct that they, after all, their economic loss has also to be covered like in other countries, other major economies. So I think there is a very clear message here. All these claims are okay that the prices have gone up by so much and so on, but the fact of the matter is that every year when the prices go up, we have seen that it is still less than the inflation rate. So I think in total, if we see the prices that we talk about have gone up, actually are below the inflation rate that we have. So if farmers haven't gained anything, if they had gained, why would they come back to protest in Delhi? Please tell me. Why is it that no farmer wants his son to become a farmer? If everything was honky donkey for farmers, I see no reason why there should be such a huge distress in the country.
Let me just read out some of these rates to you. The MSP in 2023-24 for paddy stands at 2,183 rupees per quintal. That's up 243 rupees from 2021. The MSP for wheat in the financial year stands at 2,275, up 250 rupees. And similarly, there are figures available for jawar, ragi, and so on. You're saying this increase is insufficient. It's still below inflation.
Well, I'm not saying, yes, of course, this is below the inflation rate. But the second part is that even the OECD, which is the richest trading bloc, is acknowledging that farmers have been continuously incurring losses for the last 24 years. And the report is very clear. And it categorically also states, not this particular report, but earlier report had said between 2000 and 2016, the 16-year period, Indian farmers lost 45 lakh crore. Now, 45 lakh crore is not a small amount. This was lost by the farmers in 16 years. And I never saw a discussion happening in the parliament. Neither of the state assemblies took it up. No academia discussed it. No university discussed it. And the media also didn't discuss it. The point is, if it is farmers' loss, nobody seems to be worried. But if it was corporate loss, even a small percentage of 45 lakh crore, I'm sure the media would have been up in arms saying, oh, this is a policy paralysis and we need to support the corporates and so on and so forth. But happened to farmers and nobody seems to be concerned. The point I'm trying to make is look at these international reports which tell us clearly that agriculture is passing through a severe distress. And I think that is something we need to acknowledge.
So you're saying if this was corporate loss, the response would have been much more sort of proactive. And farmers have been left Bhagwan Bharose. Now, not just are farmers protesting, they are, as you know, having to contend with tear gas shells, with water cannons, with cement barricades. Police say the farmers are displacing these barricades, they're indulging in vandalism. The farmers say that, hame is tarah se attack kiya ja raha hai that we are injured. In fact, the politics is also taking over fast. One of the injured farmers spoke to Rahul Gandhi. All that later, sir. Let's first play out for you my colleague Harshit Sharma on the ground, talking to the protesting farmers and also chronicling how tear gas shells are being used to stop them from moving forward. Take a look.
जम्मू बॉर्डर की तस्वीरें लगातार पिछले काफ़ी टाइम से ये टीयर गैस की बॉम्बिंग हो रही है, लगातार फायरिंग हो रही है पुलिस की तरफ से। और उसका मैं ये कहूँगा कि पुरजोर तरीके से, जैसे कहते हैं कि ईंट का जवाब पत्थर से देना, वो करने की कोशिश है किसानों की तरफ से। एक और टीयर गैस का यहाँ पर गोला यहाँ पर पड़ा और देखिए गीली बोरियां डालकर आप देखेंगे अगर तो किसान उन टीयर गैसेस को नलिफाई करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। ये एक बहुत ही टेंस सिचुएशन इस वक्त बॉर्डर के ऊपर बनी हुई है। अब क्या कोशिश है अब आप लोगों की, क्या आप लोगों का रणनीति है इसके आगे? लगातार उधर से अटैक हो रहा है, टीयर गैस की बॉम्बिंग हो रही है, क्या आप लोगों को लगता है?
सर लगता तो ऐसे है ना कि जाएंगे तो है
जी। तो आज आप लोगों की कोशिश है कि पूरा जाने का एकदम
अभी मीटिंग चल रही है, मीटिंग के बाद जो हमारे मोहतबर हैं वो
नेता है आप लोग वो तय करेंगे कि क्या?
हाँ, जो वो फैसला करेंगे देंगे उसके अकॉर्डिंग चलेंगे हम।
जी जी।
So that is my colleague Harshit Sharma on the ground, and you can see and hear the sound of tear gas. Mr. Sharma, how do you respond to this?
Well, it is very sad that the place where all this is happening looks like to be a war zone. I don't understand why we should be having a battle with our own farmers or our own population or a part of the population. I think farmers have also a right to come and protest. And I think they have the right to go up to Delhi and make the policymakers listen to what their demand is. Recently, we have seen massive protest happening in 17 countries of the European Union, where the farmers' protest took place. And we know that the farmers were angry. They had blocked, Berlin as far as Germany was concerned. Then they blocked Paris. But there was no such kind of a retaliation happening in those countries. The president of France and the president of Germany have gone on record saying that farmers have the right to protest. I think farmers in any case have the right to protest, and that is what the farmers should have been allowed to come, and they should have been listened by the authorities as to what their genuine grievances are. And I think we should be able to find an amicable solution rather than turn the entire place into a kind of a war zone. And all that is missing today is, if they were to lay out underground mines, I think it would have been looking like a border area. Come on, I think this is within the country we are creating this kind of a condition, and you can't blame farmers for it. They said we are going to have a peaceful protest, so allow that peaceful protest to happen, and then listen to them what their genuine demands are. I think that is the way I think we should have interacted with the farming community.
You may have seen the news that Mr. M.S. Swaminathan's daughter, Ms. Swaminathan, of course, has been awarded with the Bharat Ratna. This is the statement that she gave well before these protests started. But she did talk about not demonizing farmers. And I just want to play out that statement for a moment and then come back to what you've said. This is not a war zone. Farmers have a right to peaceful protest. Is there still a way forward? We'll talk about that, but let's listen to Dr. Swaminathan's daughter, an economist in her own right, making this statement.
Annadatas, the farmers of Punjab today are marching to Delhi. I believe, according to the newspaper reports, there are jails being prepared for them in Haryana. There are barricades. There are all kinds of things being done to prevent them. These are farmers. They are not criminals. I request all of you, the leading scientists of India, have to talk to our Annadatas. We cannot treat them as criminals. We have to find solutions. Please, this is my request. I think if we have to continue and honor M.S. Swaminathan, we have to take the farmers with us in whatever strategy that we are planning for the future. Thank you.
Very emotional words there from Dr. Swaminathan's daughter, as I said, an economist in her own right, echoing in a way what you're saying. You can't criminalize farmers, you can't demonize them, you have to give them the right to protest, you have to listen to your Annadata. The counter argument has been that Punjab's farmers, aapne bhi ye bahut suna hoga ki Punjab's farmers think they're the only farmers in India. There are other farmers also, there are crops that are not covered by MSP and so on. This is Punjab farmers speaking for the entire country's farmers. How do you respond to that criticism that is sometimes brought to the doorstep of the farmers' movement?
Well, what is wrong in that? If Punjab farmers are fighting for the national farmers, what is wrong in that, I want to ask? Why is it that we think that it is only a creation of Punjab farmers, that they are creating a scene where the government has to retaliate? I don't think so. The fact of the matter is these farmers get minimum support price for wheat and paddy, and yet they are standing up for legalizing MSP for all crops, which means it's going to benefit farmers across the country. That is what Punjab farmers are standing for. Let us appreciate them. Let us applaud them that they are, in fact, raising the demand for the entire country, for the farmers of the entire country. A. B, I think it should be important to understand that, Delhi is close to, or let's say Punjab is close to Delhi, Haryana is close to Delhi, UP is close to Delhi, Rajasthan is close to that. That is where farmers can come and demand what the entire farming community needs. We have seen that farmers who were traveling from Karnataka were taken off in Madhya Pradesh, beaten, and so on and so forth. So it tells us that it's very difficult to come from different parts of the world as well as from the country to come and protest in Delhi. I think Punjab farmers are, in any case, it's very clear that they get an assured MSP. They are actually not interested in what they are getting. They are saying for the rest of the country, we need minimum support price, a legal mechanism.
Now, Mr. Sharma, Professor Sharma, the BJP's supporters have said that this is politicized timing. This is coming right before the elections. Farmers leaders that I've been interviewing say that, of course, we are not fools. We know that in election season, हमारी बात ज़्यादा सुनी जाएगी. तो हम ये deny नहीं करते that we are trying to get political attention at a time when it could come to us. Now we are getting word that Rahul Gandhi is going to be joining the protest. In the clips that you're seeing, he spoke to one of the injured farmers, a former soldier of the army. Do you believe this is a welcome development, or do you believe it will hurt the cause of the farmers? Because, you know, as it is, the BJP is saying कि ये तो सब राजनीति है.
Dekhiye, if I look at your first question, to say that, farmers are timing it with the elections, I think let's be very clear, even awards are given in this country looking at elections. So why blame the farmers? Farmers are also people who are alert. They can also strategize. And if they are doing it at, before election and they know that it will have an impact, there's nothing wrong in it. Everybody does that. A. Now, B, I think, Barkha, you had a show called, very popular show called Where the Buck Stops. We all know that the buck stops at the political level, at the decision making is at that particular level. So if other political parties are joining, I think if the protesting farmers, I'm sure, would have taken a decision, would have taken a call on this, whether they allow this time the politicians to come and be on their stage and so on and so forth. If they are allowing, I think that is their take. I can't answer on behalf of the agitating farmers, but it is very clear that everyone tries to see how to get the best out of what they are trying to protest or demand. And given the elections are around the corner, I don't think farmers are wrong, because they have, if you look at the earlier protest, that was in 2021. That time there was no election. And yet farmers were demanding the same kind of demand, I would say, if in addition to the withdrawal of the laws, they were still trying to work out that we have to have a legal mechanism for minimum support price. And the government at that time did, say that, yes, we will set up a committee and so on and so forth. But 1.5 years has passed. I think, the patience is running thin, and the farmers are coming and protesting. I think the government needs to sit and listen to them, and then, of course, get into explaining to them whether it's possible or not. And then I think that is the way forward. We need a dialogue to take place. Nobody wants a kind of a confrontation happening. I'm sure neither the farmer nor the government, but I think the overreaction that the government has demonstrated this time is a cause for worry.
A final question. What is the way forward? The point is that this is an outgoing government. It may well be the party that wins the third term, but this is an outgoing government. In the immediate, nothing probably can be done anyway. But at least once the model code of conduct is declared, possibly not. So the window for action is very, very limited. So what is the way forward? Secondly, the Congress, if it is supporting this agitation, as now the news comes in of Mr. Gandhi joining it, the states that are managed by the Congress can do this at their own level. They can offer the legal MSP at their own level, can't they?
Well, states can do a little. I don't deny that, like for instance, Punjab wanted to give a deficiency price for moong, but they didn't have the money to pay the entire deficiency cost that, came up. And similarly, I don't think the rest of the country, the states can afford to pay for the minimum support price that the farmers are demanding. What I'm trying to, see here is why there is a reluctance to give farmers a legal assurance or a guaranteed minimum support price. Why? Just because a section of the economists of this country feel that it will distort the markets, I think that's not the way forward. Let's have a dialogue. In fact, I can tell you very clearly that we have examined all those aspects, and there is no other way unless we provide a guaranteed price to farmers, that farmers can be pulled out of the serious or severe crisis that exists in this country. And not only in this country, globally, farmers are actually fighting for guaranteed price. In America, it is called as income parity, but in India, we call it guaranteed price. So if farmers all over the world are fighting for a guaranteed price, I think it is time to examine, time to see how we can provide farmers with a guaranteed price. Nothing wrong in that. Like all of us, they too need an assured income. What is wrong in this? I don't understand. And why should economists say that, oh, markets are the best judge, so markets will provide the right kind of income to the farmers? Well, if it was so, I don't understand why the government employees are demanding that we revert back to the old pension scheme. The new pension scheme, as we know, was linked to markets, and markets haven't given them the right kind of pension. So they are wanting to go back. And look at the government. Government has set up a committee, which according to news reports is saying that we will tinker with the markets to see that you at least get 40% of your last pay drawn as pension. Now, if that means clearly, if for the employees, they understand that markets are not working. But for the farmers, they think, leave them to the markets. That is what I call Bhagwan Bharose. No, I think the time has come when we need to provide farmers with a guaranteed price. Your second question, what will happen? Your time is very short. I think if you remember...
And I just want to say, as you're speaking, my colleague Harshit has sent us these images of farmers who have been injured, and we can play those shots. You can see there are farmers in the local hospitals having been injured, in these clashes with police, where tear gas shells and water cannons, among other sort of weapons, have been deployed to prevent the march of farmers to the capital. Go ahead, Professor Sharma, with your last thoughts.
Yeah, the point that, we can't do it, the argument that guaranteed price cannot be imposed, I think that the best way is to sit for a dialogue. Let's work it out and then see how do we implement it. But all I'm saying is, just because, farmers, if they get a higher price, and many people feel that the profits that the companies have been making, because agriculture provides the raw material for the companies, that will be reduced. I think that is not fair enough, a kind of a justification to see that agriculture remains perpetually indebted. Farmers can't be left to be in poverty for all times to come. I think it is a challenge for us. It is a time for us. And I think this is also something that the world is looking forward to. Let India stand up and show the way to the world. That's what I feel that both the farmers as well as the government should look forward to.
Well, a tense and unfortunate situation building up as Dr. Swaminathan's daughter there, almost in tears, said that farmers cannot be treated, those who provide us our food, our grains, cannot be treated as villains and criminals. But at the same time, with such a short window, once the election dates are announced, the model code of conduct will set into place, even in terms of policy change. In my understanding, Professor Sharma, the window is very short. What can immediately happen before we say thank you to you? What can immediately happen?
Well, I think the government needs to give a commitment in writing that they will do it. They stand by it and they will do it. I think that's something which can come immediately. And before the model code of conduct, there can be a couple of dialogues happening so that we see how we can smoothen that kind of a process. This is something that is doable. And I think time has come when government needs to stand up with the farmers. After all, we all know that only 14% of the farmers in India get minimum support price. 86% farmers are dependent on the markets. If markets were so good, I don't see why farmers should be protesting. So the fact of the matter is that markets have failed to provide farmers with a higher income, not only in India, but everywhere in the world. And I think it is time to learn from the debacle that agriculture has seen across the globe. And remember, M.S. Swaminathan, if he not only Bharat Ratna, he was something that the nation is proud of, someone that the nation is proud of. And if M.S. Swaminathan had recommended C2 plus 50 as the MSP farmer should be given, I'm sure you will all agree that he knew what he was doing. It wasn't, like our economist and policymaker who say it is not doable. M.S. Swaminathan knew it was doable, and I'm sure he would have been equally pained today to see the kind of a war zone that we have created for the farmers. I hope we draw a lesson and we see we do not build up more escalations or more tension as the days proceed or days to come.
Well, Devinder Sharma ji, thank you so much. Very, very disturbing images coming from the farmers' march, in farmers now in hospital, embattled, quite literally. No matter which side of the debate you stand on, everybody has the right to peaceful protest. But of course, the police would quote back to you what happened on 26 January and so on. So it's a very, very complex situation. It can be diffused by the government, I would say, inviting a farmers' delegation for talks at the highest level. Maybe the Prime Minister himself, I don't know. Maybe that's the move that the government could make. But let's see what happens next. We'll have you back as the situation develops. Thank you and appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Mojo Story has always made a commitment to its viewers to go to where the story is. And as you can see here, we are at the epicenter of the Israel war on Gaza. We are right at the front line, about 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli military gets ready with its tanks and its gunners to begin its final frontal assault that will take troops into Gaza. As we said, we are not like other organizations. We believe in giving you all sides of the story objectively and as much as possible from the ground. And that's exactly what we're doing here, covering the biggest global story today from the epicenter of the war zone. So please, we need your support. Support us, become a Mojo member, subscribe to us, spread the word, and thank you for your support.